Interesting, you said a couple of interesting points about crowdfunding. So I was investing into Republic and a few other crowdfunding platforms, and then I also started looking at AngelList and a few other platforms. But I was just wondering, if somebody is starting off with AngelList, I'm sorry, with angel investing, what should be the check size for investing into startups? There's a lot of taboo about putting very small checks of $1,000 to $5,000, and people think you're not an angel investor. But do you think somebody should start with $1,000, or should they start with $10,000 per deal? What's your advice on that?
Well, it really depends because I think for a long time, angel investing has always been a bit of a cottage industry.
Yeah.
And I think that it's definitely been difficult for people who don't have the capital to
Mm.
start investing. And I know that there's a lot of people out there who would love to start angel investing, but they find that there are a lot of restrictions. And now some of those restrictions would be, well, one, I have to be an accredited investor.
Yeah.
I need to be earning this much on a year, or I have to be, have this amount of number of assets, which is fine because I think it's important to do that. But in terms of the number of dollars you should invest, I think as low as $1,000 should be fine. I think it really depends on the relationships you have with these types of founders. If we put crowdfunding aside for the moment and we just focus on just investing directly into companies, I think it really depends on what you're able to offer and how well you know the founders. If you know the founders well and you've been friends with them or you've been able to open doors for them, I think you have every right to ask for an allocation into their cap table. The question is, how much would that allocation be? A lot of founders don't want a very heavy cap table with a lot of hundreds and thousands of angel investors, but they're willing to let things slide a little bit if they know you well. And so if you're able to get in deals that are asking for $1,000, I think you should do it. And I think it gives you a sense of skin in the game. It gives you a sense of accountability that you have to now, it's in your best interest to actually help these founders grow. But at the same time, there will be a lot of founders who say, look, $1,000 is kind of too small. How about $10,000 or $15,000? And that's perfectly fine. It's at the end of the day, it's these founders who are really dictating the terms, as they should. It's not the investors. But I think that if you're able to negotiate well and you're able to offer something valuable to the founders, whether it be access to your network, could be access to your knowledge, your insights into your experience. Let's say you have some amazing sales experience, or you're an amazing CTO and they need someone to guide that through them, then you should put it out there for them, because at the end of the day, it's an interview and you want to, showcase your ability to help, because the last thing you want is an angel investing, is any investor for that matter, to sort of sit there as a fly on the wall and just wait for the exit event. I think that's kind of like what a lot of passive investors do. But I think as an angel investor, if you do want to get in that low with those check size amounts, I think it's in your best interest to really showcase what you're capable of and how you can help at the end of the day.
Got it. And when you mentioned that you look at investing into people whom can you also look into investing into people you don't know, like but you invest into angel list syndicates, people whom whom you follow on these syndicates? Would you advise people to start off from there, because you get a lot of good deals from these syndicate leads?
Yeah, I mean, if you are able to access syndicate, again, it goes back to the notion of who you know. So
Yes.
at the end of the day, it really depends on who's leading the syndicate. So if you know your friend of a friend is leading the syndicate, then that's a good sort of degree of separation between you and them, and you kind of know who they are, so to speak. Again, there are definitely a lot of platforms nowadays where syndicates are becoming much more exciting and ubiquitous. AngelList, for example, is one example of that. And let's say, for example, you don't know who the lead is, and in many cases, these leads are public. They'll say, "Look, come to my syndicate, and we'll share the deals." And mostly, you can join for free. You don't really have to join in any deal that they offer to you, but at least you get to see exactly what type of deals that are coming through the pipeline. And it gives you a sense of, is this something that I want to be a part of? If it's not, then that's fine. You can go to another syndicate, but at least getting a first flavor of exactly what type of companies are coming through is pretty important, because you want to make sure that you're comfortable yourself investing your money into the syndicate. And some syndicates are different. Some have specific mandates that they only invest in B2B SaaS, for example, or B2C, for example. So you really got to have your own personal mandate. What do you want to invest in? And do you have any preference? Am I investing in climate tech only, or do I want to invest in only in AI? And so you really got to sit down and think about, well, do I have my own personal thesis that I want to abide by? And in most cases, most people don't. They just say, look, I'll just invest whatever is opportunistic. And so that's where you can start to, experiment with different types of leads and syndicates, and even sometimes, connect with the lead as well. You might be able to jump on a phone call, like, hey, I know you're leading the syndicate. I'd love to be part of it, but, I just don't know you that well. Can we just get on a 5 to 10 minute phone call and tell me about yourself, and I can tell you about me. And then, from there, I think it really takes a bit of effort, but it's not so much effort that it's daunting. But at the end of the day, once that heavy lifting is done, you'll be much more comfortable knowing that you know who the person is, and then you can start to invest comfortably as an angel.